Spirituality is not something you think about, you have a retreat to attend or a book to read. It's something that is right in front of you always, every day. It's lighter than air, kinder than daylight, sweeter than a morning breeze. It's more natural than we might think. You're not fighting anything. You're not for or against any issue. It's an openness, a softness, a kindness, and a wisdom. But it's a hidden wisdom. You don't have to search out the meaning of anything. It's right before you. You're part of a transcendent, ever-present naturalness. You're not thinking about breathing or working or living or dying. You're beyond all of that. And not beyond that it's something, it's a nothingness. The normal human habitat is not there. Remember, I'm just throwing this out, spend time, because my buddy is here and his daughter had a high Rinpoche from Tibet at her birth because we knew something about her. And I know his friends and others I had that were Tibetan lamas from back in the day were, and monks and nuns, of course, and all the conceptions people would have about them were wrong. They were very natural, very real, very human, very wide awake. And yet they were utterly kind to a fault. They were precious human beings. But they were men or ladies. They were very powerful people. You wouldn't realize that because you'd see the happiness and the joy, but what's behind that is a wisdom that's an openness to interstellar space, to outer space. There is no interstellar, outerstellar. In the material sense, it's what they call the Pure Land, that it's always here, Shangri-La. It's a place you live in, you work in, you live in, you die in, you love in, you care in, you build in. You keep fixing the people around you. Basically, that's your life. And you're 1,000 times or 10,000 million times more conscious of the pitfalls in front of everyone's life in front of you. You know what they're going to walk into if they don't settle down, get more conscious of this openness, this joy, this wisdom, this wonder that the wise still call God. And even the interpretation of the word God, God is an infinite kindness. But it's softer than the daylight. It's kinder than love or respect or ardor. It's just, it translates instantly to invisibility. You can't see it or feel it or touch it because the world, according to all these traditions, is an illusion. It's either Maya, the illusion, or samsara, the anxiety about every day. In spirituality, you do not have that anxiety, except you take it on from everyone else. I say this, I'll use myself as an example. I help many people with their businesses, their life, their children. It just happens from day to day, and I never get into the pitfall of discussing politics or the social mores of the day, and because people who are not a monk or a nun or whatever are not trained. And there are many, many other people who, there are many ways of training yourself to not react to anything in your conscious environment. Meditation is simply not reacting. You sit quietly and you don't react to your thoughts, your experience. You don't react to your consciousness. And eventually it just disappears into nothingness. Not an, excuse me, not an empty nothingness, but a fullness, a joy, an effulgence. It's something can't be spoken of, it just is. It's so delicate and so wondrous. It's more than love or care or kindness. Great artists give their life trying to put it on canvas, create something out of it. I know when I first saw the sunflower by Van Gogh in the Philadelphia Art Museum, maybe 1970, and I just sat and looked at it and I couldn't move. The beauty of it was so, he put God in a small painting. It just, such beauty. And he knew he was giving up his sanity and his senses for it, but it can be done. But 10,000 times more simple than that, forgive me, Vincent, is this state of awareness called illumination, nirvana, enlightenment, the beatific vision, the vision of God that Aldous Huxley spoke about. It's just something, the words like humility and kindness, they seem weak, but these are powerful words. The words of worship aren't kneel and soft before God. It's adoration. It's respect you have for someone you trust with your life, your parents, your child, your baby puppy. It's just, you're in awe always. But it becomes very natural. And all of us who are enlightened, whatever this is, we're born that way. And so we reach back in our memory banks and we see how the understanding of it came upon us when we're 23, 19, 30. It doesn't really matter. It's that it comes on us, and then we realize the conditioning process of being in this world, the aperture, the process of birth, being here. If you're enlightened now, you were enlightened always in eternity. And the more spiritual you are, the more the conditioning process collapses around you. It's a conscious beast, this world. I know I was reprimanded the other day by a friend who told me not to call it hell, but it is hell. Not because it's just an illusion, but because it's angry and it's evil, and it's very, very consciously and aware of everything you do all the time, so it's on you in subtle ways to trip you up. But if you have this training of not reacting to anything, no matter what happens, and I've done it under every condition you can conceive of, violence and so on, and negative conditions when your aspersions are cast at you like like darts all day. It's a wonderful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. So God is infinite humility. I use that term often. I don't know what to do. It's that beautiful. Think of your great loves of your life, the kind people about you. It doesn't matter if you ever kissed anyone or touched anyone, or if you're born in a prison cell. This state of adoration is yours to behold. I use examples of the everyday, of nature. I mean, read the books of Thoreau and all the great artists of mysticism. And you'll find him looking out from your eyes. You know, the wonder you feel during a very early morning of summer breeze and there's a little light rain falling and everything disappears. That's why these great mystic writers talked about nature so much. Nature takes you away from the everyday, from the things that are formed, to God, which is unformed. There's no value you can place on God, or no not value that you can place on God. It's a simplicity, an openness, a kindness. And you recognize the thoughts of people in the world that's the problem. No one knows how to simply sit deeply quiet. So with my friends, the lamas or Bento Rinpoche that went to my daughter's birth, my goddaughter, my friend Rob's daughter, we knew there was a holy something happening there. So that kind of kindness and wonder is an eternal state. It's not emotional, it's not psychological, it's not just an appreciation of something. I mean, when you appreciate something, when you love something, you become that thing, you are that. And through this whole session this morning, we're talking about love and appreciation and kindness. But these are powerful weapons to behold. Because at a certain point when you're kind enough, true enough, humble enough, I'm going to throw this out, there is an actual God. The universe is a consciousness. The consciousness is an eternal God. It's a person. The universe is a person. It's the person of God. Now this world system just happened as my experience of a spiritual person, and talk to all the friends you have, or think back in your own spiritual memory banks, you're aware that it's something human, this drive we have to become a better person, more clear. This sense of enlightenment isn't a transcendent of the human world, it's a kindness, it's a wonder. And more than anything, it's not reacting to this world. So the more humble you get, the more contrite. Maybe you did something right or wrong, and you're set up to do right or wrong in this world through this conditioning process once you're here. You're in this little trap, and again, the point I was beginning to make here was that this world, the universe, the spiritual universe, what you feel and apprehend all the time as a spiritual person, is endless beauty and dignity and kindness, but there are universes that are spiritual. But you're at one with all of them. So this mystical state isn't being a kind person, working on your issues. You're so humble before God that at a point, you'll actually come face to face with God. And the reason it's said in the scripture you can't look God in the face is like because he's so humble. We gave up our identity as a spiritual being, as part of God, by being birthed here. And then the conditioning process collapsed around us. So if we sit quietly in our meditation, don't react to thoughts, feeling, experience, memories, that which is true or untrue, because there's none of it. And there's just an openness. And you can't say it's an elegant openness or joy or happiness. It's transcendent of those terms. So you extrapolate it out, all these beautiful emotions, you feel them, but they come more and more subtle and more beatific, more precious. And we let go of a certain degree of your conditioning. And if you don't, God will be there one morning when your eyes first open and everything that ever was before that will be gone in favor of this purity. And it's very human, the sense of humanness. Where you trust, where you care, where you hold someone's hand, you put your arm around a buddy or a friend or a lady friend or a girlfriend or child or animal. It just is. It's more powerful than everything, and you don't need anyone to open a door for you, to do this, to do that. It'll come to you every moment, which is where this talk began. It'll always, the right thing will be before you. And if it's a lot of hard work to get to a point, you'll be there on the first day before anyone else, and you'll be working. And if it matters, and if all of a sudden, like me from time to time, I've been thrown out in the woods or somewhere alone, and that's my greatest joy. Not because I'm getting away from anything, but because I'm able to peer directly into the eyes of our friend and our Father, God. So trust God, be with God. The bottom line of this is that as spiritual beings, we're aware of this endless universe of divinity. And this one world is a particle of dust. It's not even a grain of sand or infinitesimal part of an atom. This is a conscious experience of this person and anyone like my Lama friends there. When I meet, like see the Rinpoche that at Whitney's birth, he was working at a store because he had to have a job while he was here. It was part of the agreement to come here. It was, even though he was a holy man. And we looked at each other, there was nothing to say, and we loved each other. We worked together for 3 years, whatever. And we're just buddies, and but at the same time, he's a holy man. I'm just some guy, but with this spiritual experience, we couldn't even, there was nothing we had to say. So we went out on University Avenue, Palo Alto, and we're talking a little bit. It wasn't, when I couldn't see him, what I saw looking at him were the mountains in Tibet and the Great Plains of East Tibet, where he came from. In other words, it's not here. Shangri-La is not a place you go to. It's not a mountain you find like in the James Hilton book of about that. It was, you don't go find this mountain, it's holy, and the lamas live there. The lamas are there for hundreds of years. It's something that always is. So when I was in northern India, Nepal, or Tibet, on and off, you had to be careful. That place was always there. And so these guys are very natural, very normal. And they were men. They're very strong. They're very kind, but they're powerful men like my buddy right here, Greg. Just a man of steel, but kind. But they had a kindness that you worked on all your life, where it was really a transcendent state. So they weren't trying to be nice. That's a weakness. That's a fear. They were kind, but they were normal men. So I would sneak them out to wherever the high-end, the best steakhouse could be found, and I would shoot them over there. I'd know the owner, and I'd sit them off, and again, we just had a beautiful time as normal men. I might have had a glass of wine, I don't know, but it was just beautiful, and they were happy. Being treated like human beings, like men, not in a very clean way, but you know what I'm saying? Whereas everyone else would treat them like rock stars or something, or they're strong men. They don't need, you just be kind to them and normal and real, and they'll be there, it'll be okay. When I lived with them in northern India, it was, it never eluded my consciousness that they'd lost 1 million people, but they were still in this powerful condition of absolute kindness and compassion, and yet aware, and they've all lost family members, children, whatever. You know, the human family is a family, so it isn't just not eating this or that, or not having love or affection, or not being married. It's a condition of your life is about people. You do what you do. You're in the circumstance, and we don't have a lot of choice, do we? Things fall into our conscious environment, and we live through them, with them, around them, by them, to them. We try to fix, improve, to enlighten. And to enlighten is to give the very consciousness that is yourself away all day, every day. It's the easiest thing in the world. So it's not something you do or undo about life. It just is. And know that everything coming at you, if you train yourself not to react, now if you're doing something where you're training, you react, you use your human emotions, of course. But transcendent of that always is this place of quietude. I was with my buddy, my sensei, Pedro Mink, and he trains right behind us, and Greg and Andre Sukumta and Gerber and all the guys in the gym here train fighters and martial arts. And what I loved about it was they're very spiritual people, so we did a lot of training yesterday, and everyone there, because Pedro is he's completely spiritual and off the charts, brilliant, and just a kind man. So you're training in this art form that looks very, very violent, but it's fun. You become a child again. You get rid of all your conditioning, because I don't know, outsiders maybe look, oh, how tough they are. It's just everyone's learning with each other. You're rolling around the floor like children. And you're learning, and you're improving your sensibilities every moment of every day, and there's nothing violent about it. Does that make sense? I'm not talking about fighting professional fighters. I have friends that do that, but it's not that. It's something to see God, to feel God. You simply have to find some discipline within yourself to quiet yourself, and then beyond that, not to react to anything in the world, and God will be there. It's not hard to do. You don't have to go to church on Sunday morning, although that's the healthiest thing to do if you want to do anything. If you want to undo everything in consciousness, you'll find God in your heart. In other words, it's not a physical thing, it's a precious thing. And in your consciousness one day, when your whole drive, like in Buddhism and Christianity, Judaism, all the major religions of the world, all the tribal religions, it's all the same thing, to enlarge in your field of vision, to become a better human being, more compassionate, kind, more honest, more honorable. And there's a healing agency with it. In Tibet, you went to the Tibetan doctor, they maybe make some ointment or some salve or herbal things they concoct, and that worked. But on top of that, they would always tell you to go to the market and buy a chicken or something and save it, protect it, and help it grow. In other words, always do something compassionate, because that's what keeps the healing energy up. My buddy was in an emergency room the other day, and that everyone there was trying to make it was like a business more than a hospital in this particular place, and everyone was making it as a business or wanting my friend to do this or take that or a needle for this, like to protect themselves, rather than I walked in. I'm a healer, so all my friends know when I walk in there's a lightness, there's a happiness, there's a joy, and so I can fix things or fix people's bodies in the gym all day, or do all that. Whatever you think about it, I can do it just instantly without thinking. It's just there. And so as soon as you let go of yourself, you'll heal, you'll help, you'll adore, you'll fix, you'll care. You'll be very sweet and true and real. And more than everything, this sense of compassion. You'll know how bad the future will be for everyone around you. But telling them about this cause or that cause is not going to help. You don't take sides, even though you know right from wrong in every circumstance, believe me. You try to get inside whoever you're working with at the moment, and that's all you do, is fix people all your life and let them know. Be a little kinder to this person, that person. Let go of your own feeling about it and look at it deeper, where it improves everyone. And so you spend your life kind of hanging on a cross for others. And if you read the real mystical writings, the ancient Hebrew or literature, all this, the Greek, it's very, very mystical, these writings, and they become religious, and the words means this or that. It doesn't. It's always about adoration of the divine, about humility and kindness, and it's not a weakness. You walk through things when the kindness you embody is the presence of almighty, everlasting, infinite God, our friend, ourself and our soul. God wants you to be God as you were, part of God infinitely before this thing called birth into this world. And again, it's an infinitesimal, infinitely smaller than the smallest subatomic particle. I mean this literally. So when you're spiritual, you're not worried about this or that condition of the world. You're aware of it. Sublime resonance you have with. It's an openness, an emptiness of human form or substance or touch or taste. It's beyond the 5 or 6 senses. You know, they have the psychic sense about it, and that's the dumbest thing, being psychic and reading with this person or that person. I look at that as like looking in someone's bedroom window. It gives me the creeps. Although you are clairvoyant. If I had to do something, I could do it, but I wouldn't. But I would if, circumstance. But the point is, you'll have that, but you walk away from that. That's the fascination with these dark forces and light and good and evil. You live beyond all forces and thoughts and times and places. There be no past or present. Before the world was, before things were, before churches saw light, or names were names, before all of that, you were this openness. And that's what meditation and prayer and reflection and love are all about, isn't it? Giving yourself away forever. And that's humility. And that's true religion. And that's you. Isn't it you? Don't you care? Don't you want to help and improve? Aren't you tired of the fear, the negativity, the negation of everything that's valuable in your life, and you got to fight the same fight the next day? And this political or social force is coming at this place or that community of interest, and isn't it time to let it all go? Please. For your mother, your family, your friends, your loved ones. And if you've never been loved or cared for, this quietude, this openness and purity, that just is, will walk with you through any circumstance, situation, thought, feeling, sensibility, sensitivity. They'll all disappear before this humble condition that we call worship. In true worship, I'd go to a church in Menlo Park where nuns had, and they'd sing in the background, and you kneel down and you just, I've never been a religious person. I've done many things in places of worship. And when it's just the simplicity of worship. You don't have to fight through your emotions and thoughts and get away from the everyday. It's worship is an open thought stream, a kindness. And true religion is from dawn to dawn. It's not a place or a time. It's a heart and a soul that cares very deeply, that lives very ardently, that feels very powerfully. No place to go, nothing to do. There's nothing to understand. When you fall into the hands, again, of the living God. And to clean the slate, it's birth here, traps us all into this mold, and the spiritual aware of that at some point in their life awaken. And then they spend time trying to free their friends and loved ones. And that's life. There is nothing else. There's no cause, there's no direction, there's no lesser stream. You become that which we worship. And I say that with a great deal of humility, just to get it across, that because even when I see God's face, you become so humble, it's unbelievable. You try to look at it at the edge of your eye, because God actually is God. And the simplicity for those, like my buddies, the Lamas, we'd go out and have fun like children, or took my buddy over there. They were 13 or 14 at my friend's place where he was the chief counsel of Tibet in exile and nearby. And he's a big football player, and he was just shocked. They just jumped up and around. They were serious, doing business, working on books or whatever, setting up their own monastery, setting directions to the monks and the whatever, and they were just children inside, very pure. And you walk into the room, there's only that simplicity of that pureness. So I'm saying, you don't treat them like rock stars or anyone spiritual, be very kind to them, very caring, and very human. And that humanness is that which we'll walk through with to the end of time. There's a sense of time in this world. This world will collapse in upon itself shortly, and you'll be there on the arm of someone you felt. That last step, that last hour, that last moment. And you'll be glad all over. teaching I've sought to get across today is that the world is in the most horrible moment of its history, and we all know that. Who are conscious, literate, caring, whatever, responsible, we know that everything's falling apart. So reach out and lift those you love and care for. Find the spiritual ones and remind them of the simplicity of the divine that lives in their heart and that won't fail them. All these gifts and powers of heaven will be with you every moment for the rest of your life, for the rest of time, till time no longer is. Talk to God. God will talk to you. Think of the lamas, the nuns, your mommy, those you love, those you trust, the great figures in history that live for you. Read the Sufi writers. I live with the Sufis, senior clergyman, and just so beautiful, and his friends. His bodyguard was a friend of mine. And so I'm saying there are mystical people all over the world, and you have a few friends like that. Let them know you know, because that's all we need, is to know. The people, the places, and the times are not that important. Just talk to God. From this moment on, God will be with you every second of every moment of every day in the most delicate, sacred way, and you'll walk through the madness. God wants to be you in your heart and soul, and you'll feel that, and you'll know that, and it makes you so humble. It makes you so powerful to know that. There's nothing you can't do, no one you can't fix, nothing you can't heal. But it's very secret, very subtle, very delicate. At the same time, it is infinite power. How could a God of the universe be anything but infinite humility? So God keeps recreating God. You're going to be so happy for the rest of your life. And I'm including those horrible moments when you face down these powerful demons. You're going to love it because it's interesting, and you'll see how to deal with this one or that one. And you do it in order to have tools to help walk your friends and loved ones out of the fires of mistaken beliefs. There's no conditioning when there's love, when there's true love. You know what it feels like to be utterly in love. You know, when you're a parent, you have children out there, and then the child doesn't know that the parent, no matter where they are, what they're doing, the parent and the ones that love them are with them every moment. And that's representative of what we're speaking of, which is love and kindness. It's not being kind and, again, nice. It's a powerful experience. It's invisible, lighter than air. It's very powerful. You can walk through anything with this. And you will. And you'll do it for others. Please talk to God. God is with you now. God will be you. I say that with great humility. Till time no longer is. The sense of time. Again, from the beginning of this, there's an openness, a sweetness, a warmth, a beauty, a dignity, unimaginable, genius. And again, you're the only one that knows anything. Know this from the beginning. No one that represents this community of interest or a university or does this or that knows anything. The world is the illusion. Start with that. On this golden path to eternity. You are the teacher, now and forever. Whatever is needed around you, God will supply to you until you disappear back into this openness, this sweetness, this kindness that the wise still call God. But this God is a purity in your own heart. And from that you'll see everything, you'll know everything, you'll live forever kind and true. And again, there are universes of endless, infinite beauty that are yours in a heartbeat. It has nothing to do with the human senses, except that the idea of humility and kindness are the beginning of this path to the real you, the eternal you, the God within you. You are the teacher. You are the mission. You are your future. This openness is your future. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Thank you, Craig.